Hello, and welcome to this episode of Volcano Bakemeat, a podcast by 5 gamer friends. I am Connor.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Paige.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Grant.
And together we are Volcano Bakemeat. This is a podcast, we said it before in the trailer, where we just kind of get together. We all have various backgrounds and tastes and preferences and thoughts and feelings and colors and shapes and personalities and cosmic identities relating to video games. And we just get together every other week or so, or every month, whenever we decide the frequency is, and talk about them in a way that is fun. So,
Yay!
I like fun.
I'm a hexagon.
Exactly. Just prove my point. But the point is, it's a good time with video games, so hopefully you'll enjoy it. Let's go right into it. So today we're going to talk about, just starting off, it's the first episode of this podcast. So we figured
before we get into that, Connor, where did we get the name Volcano Bakemeat?
Okay, we'll start with that.
You know,
Good
that's
idea.
something I've actually been curious about because I don't know.
You don't know. Well,
I don't know.
Let me tell you.
You started this, years ago, and I still have no idea.
Yes.
So lay it on me. Come on.
Okay. So, really short version. Grant, actually, all of us went to the same college, Knox College, Galesburg, Illinois. Grant and I started a radio show there.
The Harvard of the Midwest.
The Harvard of the Midwest.
We wish.
No, but Lincoln climbed through a window there, and that's all you need to know.
That's about all that's relevant.
We started a
That
radio
and
show
squirrels
there.
are Crazy.
Crazy Squirrels.
Okay.
Grant and I started a radio show there. It was us talking about video games. Anyways, Grant and I started this radio show. We called it Volcano Bakemeat after we had seen a video on YouTube of a few guys from a group of streamers, video game streamers by the name of Delicious Cinnamon, I believe.
Yes.
And they were doing a Let's Play of Pokemon Crystal, the Vietnamese translation.
Oh, God.
Oh,
yeah,
yes.
it's a bootleg Vietnamese. So it wasn't a Vietnamese translation. It was a bootleg copy of Pokemon Crystal in, air quotes, English.
Quote unquote, yes.
From Vietnam.
This sounds fantastic.
And it was incomprehensible.
It was
love
fantastic. So it started off as a train wreck. You know, you could barely understand what they were talking about. But as you know,
Pokemon were elves.
elves.
Not elves.
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 ELFS?
Yes, elves.
Brilliant.
It was, welcome to Elf's World, I believe was the first line of the game.
Yes, it was Welcome to Elf's World. And your Poke Gear, which you got in Crystal for the first time, your Poke Gear was called the Holy Icon.
Yes, it was the Holy Icon.
The Holy
So
Icon.
And Pokeballs were devices for grasping monsters, but monsters was misspelled,
Okay.
so it was Monatters.
Monatters.
So it was a sphere for grasping Monatters.
A sphere for grasping Monatters.
Grasp
Why was this
Monatters.
not the original idea?
And
This
then
is fantastic.
somehow we're going to check the box early on.
Okay.
Somehow there was a translation error somewhere where whenever you got an item, when in the original games it said, Gold got a potion. He put it in the potions section of his bag.
TM01.
Yeah. So it's a received, like, TM01 gets, insert TM01 bag fuck.
I forgot about
Yeah,
that.
anytime you got an item, it was item section bag fuck.
Bag
box.
fuck.
Check the box.
Check the box.
Really?
That is absolutely what... Oh, I forgot. So, as you can see...
It was hilarious.
We enjoyed this thoroughly. So we thought, what better way to show how much we enjoyed this? And to also...
where does actual Volcano Bakemeat
I will
come
say
from?
that. When you start Pokemon, you're in your bedroom.
Yes.
You go downstairs, talk to your mom.
Mm-hmm.
In this bootleg, some crazy shit is said. But you go over and they very very smartly started looking at all the furniture to see what
The flavor text said
What flavor
for all
text
different
said.
furniture.
Of course.
so which is interesting. So like the fridge and stove said like a cooking a basin for mother or something like that.
It was a delightful arrangement for mother.
for mother. Yeah, it's like you're
Sounds
fucking.
like something out of Alfred Hitchcock's
Yeah.
Psycho.
I was about to say like you're a psychopath.
Or like
For
a space
mother.
alien, like, yes, human mother.
Yes, so it was a delightful arrangement for mother. Volcano Bakemeat. And that was it. And so when we were sitting around in our dorm at 3 o'clock in the morning brainstorming the name for our radio show, we decided on Volcano Bakemeat.
And the So Simply?
Yeah, well, we can get... so this first episode we're talking about what makes a game so simply very good, which is the tagline of our show. So simply very good is from the same thing.
It said it right after because the whole
Was it
point,
right after?
Well, the thing with Volcano Bakemeat is it was talking about something in the oven. So it said Volcano Bakemeat, so simply very good. And it
I
was
feel
what?
like it was different. I feel like it was a whole different part. Someone was giving you just exposition of instructions of going out on your elf's journey, and then at the end it just said "so simply very good," and that was the end of the monologue.
That could have been it.
It might have been it. Either way, it's another line from the same thing.
You want to be the very best.
You want to be so simply very good. Yeah, I think it was just something like that.
Grant and I thought that was a very funny and very telling way of showing our love for video games is just going with this Volcano Bakemeat quote from a Delicious Cinnamon Let's Play. But anyways, moving on to this in the segment, Grant touched on it earlier, Paige touched on it earlier. The tagline we have for the show is "so simply very good," so which is a quote from the Let's Play. So today we figured a good way to start off would just be to talk about what is it that makes a video game so simply very good.
So I think before we go talking about what makes a game good, we should probably get an idea of actually where we all came from with games, so that people actually have an idea of who we are and what we're talking about.
And ultimately, what we first found so simply very good definitely applies to everything.
So, guys, what was your first love?
What was your first video game love?
My first video game love was Pokemon Red. For the Game Boy Pocket, I started off with the Game Boy Pocket.
Oh.
Wow. They
So-
actually made those.
Yeah, which was like which was just like brown. It wasn't colored at all.
As opposed to the Game Boy Micro, which never came out.
Yeah, that poor
What Game Boy Micro? I don't know what you're talking about.
But no, Pokemon Red. First, I got it when I was little. First game I ever was like, I can't stop playing this game. This game is amazing. I couldn't read yet. But I was still upset. So I didn't really know what to do, but I was so obsessed with it. I had to know more. One day, my older brother, Dan, who's got about 8 or 10 years on me, he showed me how to catch a Pokemon. I would have known if I could read, because they tell you and show you,
Yeah,
but I couldn't figure that out.
With
That
words.
old
So
man
he's-
is all a little creepy. He's just, you do this.
Yeah, so he showed me how to catch a Pokemon. Dan, well, the old man did, but then Dan showed me how to catch a Pokemon,
The other
and
old
I was
man.
like, holy crap, this changes everything. I went into school the next day and told everyone that I knew how, because everyone else was playing it too. No one else could read. I was the coolest kid in the entire school for a day. Then the following week, some kid brought in Pokemon cards, and then he was the coolest. So
That's how it goes.
also plays. But yes,
Pokemon's a fickle bitch.
my first game, the first game I fell in love with was Pokemon Red. Want to just go around the line here?
Yeah, let's go around the line.
Why don't you
Jeff.
tell us what your first game love.
My first game love, I have a bit of a weird relationship with gaming in that I didn't get started as early as most everyone else. All I had was a PC, and I had Age of Empires, and that was it. I loved it. It was a great game, but the first game that I truly fell in love with was when I bought my own Xbox 360. I took it home. First game that I got was BioShock, because there was this big, mean guy on the cover, and I thought it looked cool. And I brought it home.
Everyone thought it looked cool, man.
It does look cool. It still looks cool.
Yeah.
We were not wrong.
Yeah, no, your instincts were right.
I brought it home, and I plugged it in, and within about 2 minutes, I knew I was in for something that I had never experienced before in my life.
Mm-hmm.
And that game is still absolutely my first game love. My first love. Anyways. Paige.
Yeah,
I'd like to hear.
my dad, when I was a kid, was a youth pastor, so he had to be up with the youths, but also not spend too much money. So he bought a Sega Genesis from a garage sale, I want to say.
Where most Sega Genesis were bought.
Yeah, I think so. And for 2 weeks we had it at the house before he brought it to church, and even after that we could play it, when he was off doing things with the youths. And they had a copy of the X-Men game for the Sega Genesis, and that was the coolest thing I had ever seen.
What kind of game was that?
It
Because I had
was-
never played that,
It was
actually.
like a side-scroller platformer kind of deal, but then every X-Men had their own power. So I think Bobby could shoot ice.
Was
and-
Bobby in that one?
Maybe? No, maybe not.
I'm wondering if we're thinking of the same
This
game.
was not the
No,
arcade
I'm
game.
No, this is not the arcade game.
Okay.
No, this was a side-scrolling platformer kind of deal. Definitely there was Nightcrawler.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Kurt was in it.
Yeah, Kurt was in it. Angel was in it. Angel might have been an assist. Jean Grey was definitely an assist, because if you fell down, she'd psychic you up.
Oh.
And, I only got a couple levels in, but...
Yeah, I know Gambit was in it.
That reminds me of another game I had when I was a
Yeah,
kid,
wasn't
but
it?
I'll hang on to that.
No, and, I learned to read, how to read. I can talk good. I learned how to read on comic books, so a video game with X-Men was definitely my style.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either.
Alright, well.
It's to you.
Jessica.
Alright, so I, similar to Jeff, had a very weird experience with video games, but different. My father actually, he designed and created several video games in the 80s, 90s range, right? Like, he was one of the leading guys. He's no longer in it, unfortunately, but, if you ever look up Bruderbund or Presage, Lode Runner was kind of their big one, but they did a lot of...
I've seen Broderbund on a ton of stuff.
Yeah.
Broderbund is specifically Myst.
Yeah, well, he wasn't on the Myst team, but that's kind of where my first love comes in, is like, I never actually got through a full thing of Myst until much later.
Not many of us did.
The first
I still
game
haven't.
I fully finished on my own, and I was so proud of it. I was 9 years old, and I remember that was ridiculous, because I too was kind of shaky on the reading, but still pretty good, because I did learn to read very early on. This is where I'm not entirely sure which one came first. I think it was probably the Nancy Drew. Between the ages of like 9, 10, maybe as far as 11, I played Nancy Drew for the first time. Treasure in the Royal Tower, I remember it was mystery number 4. Still one of the best. I have written full reviews on this thing, which I should probably just post to the WordPress, despite the fact that I wrote them forever ago.
That's right, you had a blog about that.
Yeah, so I'll probably just...
Yeah, can't hurt.
Whatever.
Hell yeah,
Anyhow,
man, do it.
I still hold that they are some of the best point-and-click adventures, despite how campy Lonnie Manelli actually can be with her voice acting. But, she's playing a 17-year-old girl who's Nancy Drew. I mean, so it was either Nancy Drew or Riven, which was, of course, the sequel to Myst.
Beautiful games.
I do distinctly remember finishing both for the first time and having very similar feelings, weirdly enough. Nancy Drew was much faster, so it was more of an instant gratification kind of thing. But I felt really good about, completing those puzzles, solving the mystery and so forth, whereas Riven was it was a really difficult exploration game that's really...
Still one of the most difficult games around.
It is amazing and gorgeous too.
Oh,
I mean, that was one of those games where, they really did not have the tech to do gorgeous graphics, but they found a way to make you believe that they did, right? Gorgeous artwork. Gorgeous. And they've done remasterings of Myst that look great, but man, if you think about it, the time that those came out, and they were running off of floppy disks. I was changing out those floppy disks. So I mean, that's ridiculous. Oh my god.
Yeah, I think Myst was 8 discs or something like that.
And they were floppy.
8
floppies.
It was 8 floppy or 1 CD.
Yeah, Riven was multiple CDs.
Yeah, Riven was 5 CDs.
That's right. No, yeah. Riven was CDs. Myst was... Oh, man.
Myst was floppies.
Myst was floppies.
I believe the correct term is floppers.
Yeah. And correct me if I'm wrong, but Myst and Riven are both relatively text-light games, right?
They are.
It's interesting as something to play when you are young that your reading skills aren't that great.
I can't remember which one came first.
Well,
because I was really big on...
Riven was relatively text-light. Myst had a
was
library.
heavy.
Okay.
It had a library that you had to go and read the books about the individual worlds.
Which is why I
where the
didn't play
puzzles
Myst
were.
until much later. I think I finished my first round of Myst when I was 17. But I played Riven and finished that multiple times because you didn't have to know the words that were in there.
It helps.
I could read them, and I was able to more or less understand anything I really didn't. I'd ask my mom about, and she was always just flabbergasted that I played the same game she did.
So then your first game...
my mother, she was like,
Your mother is not that high of a voice.
I know.
Or that English.
She has that high of a personality.
It's that high.
Today we learned that Jessica's mother hired Mary Poppins.
In my mind, my mother is a high-pitched English lady. I know that's not true, Mom. I love you.
In my mind, my dad is Snorlax.
Dude, your dad is Snorlax.
Your dad is Snorlax.
Wait,
all of our dads are Snorlax. Let's be real.
My dad's not Snorlax.
So maybe your dad.
My dad... No... Let's see, what's my dad? In Pokemon, what's a good, eagle-eyed one?
Mr. Mime.
I was gonna say that.
Grant.
Yeah, so it was funny, you talked about having to switch discs all over the place. Mine also is one of the more notable, culturally significant examples of back in the day when games were multiple discs. Because if a game was more than one disc, chances were it was either a really in-depth puzzle game like Myst or a JRPG. And the first video game I really fell in love with was Final Fantasy VII. I played Pokemon Red and Blue, and I loved Pokemon Red and Blue. And like I had a couple other old Game Boy games like Wario Land and Tetris and a little rail shooter Punisher game. But the first game that I really got into and like played extensively, even though again I was like 6 and had no idea what I was doing, was Final Fantasy VII. We had an N64 growing up, so I wasn't able to play it on the PlayStation. So I'd always just like I'd heard talk of Final Fantasy, but I had no means of playing it. But then FF7 got ported to the PC, and our crappy little dusty PC had to like pop an ulcer running Final Fantasy VII.
Was that the same PC you had in your bedroom when I would come and hang out?
Oh, no.
Place? Okay.
Older than that.
Wow, that one was pretty old too.
Yeah, no. That PC could run FF7 easy.
Oh, well then I misjudged your computer.
Yeah, no. This was an old...
Purely on appearances, I'm sorry.
This was an old prefab. An old prefab PC that, it ran FF7 pretty competently. It popped and also trying to run FF8 later. But anyway, it was trying to protect me. The real thing is FF7 was the first video game I played that actually had like a really in-depth story. Like, of the examples I just listed, Pokemon's the only one that has a story to speak of whatsoever, and you're collecting 8 badges to become the Pokemon Master. Like,
yes.
I feel like I've been reading way too much into Tetris. I know.
It is actually about the plight of the plight of Soviet communism, but anyway.
I am the man who arranges the blocks.
All of the work of the people automatically goes away and is sent up to... Yeah, anyway. So it just had the really in-depth story, which was interesting, because even when I was a kid, I could tell, like, stuff was going on more than I'd realized. And if, anybody who's, like, hasn't picked up on it, it's, at least the first act of the game is one great big environmental message, which is interesting. And it's got this weird sort of almost cyberpunk world and awesome stuff, and awesome music and everything like that, and the cinematics for their time were mind-blowing. In general, ever since FF7, Square has always been trying to push the envelope on visuals. Now it's dated, but the CGI in that was great during some of the pre-made cutscenes. But the big thing that draws a lot of people, and the thing that brought me in when I was a kid, was just that Cloud was a total badass.
Yeah.
He had a big sword, man.
Yeah, it's like, hey, this game has, like, motorcycles and cool, interesting combat and good music and good visuals and stuff. But really, you're playing what?
It was a different time, Jessica.
I was going to say, we'll get back to you, Grant, in a second. We'll have to mention this after this. Jessica has feelings on the graphics of the character models in FF7. We'll talk about it later. Grant, continue.
Apologize.
Is the full motion videos were the ones that were mind blowing, and those still hold up.
They mostly do, yes.
I mean, they're not mind blowing anymore, but they still hold up.
Yeah.
Anyway, it pushed the envelope in so many ways, but really the big idea that was the big deal was just that, hey, you play as this, like, dude who's got awesome gravity-defying hair and carries a sword that's almost as big as his body, and gets to swing it around and chop up monsters and shit. And so that was what really drew me in. And then you meet Sephiroth, and you're like, what? So, it's the game that got me into the storytelling aspect of video games and the strategy aspect of video games, with, like, customizable player loadouts and stuff, and so that's why I've always gravitated towards that more, even today, than, like, the more straightforward, like, I don't know, this is a game where everything goes wrong for 12 hours action games.
Yeah, I think you kind of nailed it. We're like, these are the games we all played where we first had that feeling of, I want to keep doing this. I need more of this.
Well, speaking of which, like, there's a difference, I think, between falling in love with one game and falling in love with the idea of gaming.
That's a good point.
Right, it's like having one movie you like versus you're a film guy now.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like,
or girl.
Yeah. I mean, like, for Jeff, like, you hadn't really played video games, but you saved up the money for an Xbox 360.
That's a good point.
You knew it was a thing you wanted to do.
It was absolutely a thing I wanted to do, and that was because of... I assume that building here into a game that made you fall in love with gaming.
Yes, we are. That was
All
my
right.
smooth transition.
Aha, it's almost like we planned this ahead of time.
It was
My
velvet.
God.
So
Someday we won't point this out.
the moment that I fell in love with gaming and what made me decide I'm going to save up money for an Xbox 360 and I'm going to play games and that's who I want to be. I had a friend in grade school named Mac Harris. Really cool guy. Still a lot of fun. Haven't talked with him in years. Probably
Mac.
not going to.
Yeah, shut up. Mr. Harris,
He got...
you're a quality gentleman.
Mr. Harris is a quality gentleman. Mac got an Xbox, an original Xbox. And he got a bunch of different games for it. I feel like it was through his dad. His dad won it at a work party or something ridiculous
That
like
sounds
that.
like a thing that would happen.
Yeah, but he got Halo. And
Combat Evolved?
Combat Evolved.
Okay.
This was when the Xbox had first dropped.
Oh, okay.
And he got Halo. And neither of his parents were all that into gaming, as I recall, so they didn't quite realize what was going on there.
Mm-hmm.
So they brought it home, and he was playing through these games, and he had like one of them Oddworld games, and he had another game. It was Fusion Frenzy. I still hate that game.
Oh my
because
God.
I have that game on the shelf.
he owned the game, and he wanted to play it with me, and I didn't own the game, so he won every single time. I don't blame him, but god damn it.
Welcome to Fusion Frenzy.
I fucking love Fusion Frenzy,
Oh,
man.
God.
That's just a piece of crap game that I just...
We could commit a
You
whole...
guys like Mario Party, right? We took Mario Party and made it worse somehow. Yeah.
Zach
Say
Shellac and the
it.
Yak 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 win again. I can't even... it's stuck there.
Anyway, so Halo.
So, I remember he brought me over. He was like, hey, I tried another one of the games that I have, and this is really different from the other stuff that we've been playing. I said, okay, let's give this a shot. So we booted up the co-op, because that was back when couch co-op was still a thing, and we started playing through it, and that was the moment. I remember watching a development video on Halo 2 later where they were talking about the 30 seconds of fun, where you nail that moment where you sneak up behind someone and melee them so that they instantly die, and then you take out your pistol, pop out 3 grunts, and then throw a grenade into the survivors before they can surround you. Just that 30 seconds of pure adrenaline. Halo nailed that, and that was the moment which got me hooked. And I said, video games are something that I want to look more into. And that, for me, was the moment that I fell in love with gaming.
I think 30 seconds of fun thing is a nice through line, actually.
Oh, it's great, and it's something which guided Bungie all through Halo 1, Halo 2, Halo 3. I feel like they lost it a little bit in Reach, but it was one of their guiding principles throughout all 3 games.
Halo 2 is one of the defining games of my life.
Yeah.
Yeah. Halo 2, man.
It's one of the defining games of that generation.
That too. I played so much Halo 2. Oh my god.
We all played so much Halo 2. The world. The world as a whole.
I did not play so much Halo 2.
That's
I
all
did
right.
not either until fairly recently. And then we blasted through the entire Master Chief Collection. And
Woohoo!
I found that to be an incredibly enjoyable experience and was shocked that I had not done it sooner.
Yeah.
I've still never played a Halo game.
Yeah, see,
Oh,
like,
man.
my
You should play
my Halo experience was going over to, like, my cousin's house, and my cousins were all, like, 10 years older than me, and they were all really good at Halo, and my brother was better than me at, like, you'll see this as a 3-line, actually, to go to when I fell in love with gaming. The problem with me falling in love with gaming is that, once again, love you, Brett, I had an older brother. So when
Sometimes I was that older brother. I know what you're gonna say.
So when he saved up, I saved up. I mean, I played a lot of games after X-Men. I got a Game Boy from a yard sale. I got Pokemon Yellow.
Oh snap! You got yellow.
No, she got yellow.
I got
Not
yellow.
Snap.
Oh.
Snap is going to come up later.
But yeah, no, and I played, and then my brother saved up. He got himself a GameCube. And then he proceeded to kick my butt every time at Smash. And then we got...
This was Melee? Or
Yeah.
the original?
Melee.
Yeah,
Okay.
Melee. And
GameCube.
yeah.
Right.
And then every other game we played, because I was 2 years younger. Then, like, whenever we wanted to play anything, like if we got Wind Waker, or I'm sure there were many, many others, but Wind Waker is coming to the top of my head, like, we had to fight over who got to play lots of Fire Emblem. And so usually I was either losing or I had to wait my turn. So I would say the first time I got to consume a game like I would consume a book or a movie, which is really how I fell in love with it, would be years after I started playing when I played Eternal Darkness.
What?
Eternal Darkness. What is that actually about?
Okay, so Eternal Darkness is if Buffy the Vampire Slayer was going crazy.
Like Cthulhu Lovecraft crazy.
Yeah, so
Okay.
so Buffy in Cthulhu Land, where
So if Joss Whedon wrote Arkham Horror.
yeah.
Kind of, yeah.
So-
Actually, more like if H.P. Lovecraft wrote Buffy.
Yeah, just like a
Oh,
quick
okay.
overview.
Those
because-
all sound fantastic.
It's amazing. You should play
Yeah.
it.
I
Sounds
should.
pretty
No,
cool.
you should. Because basically, the heroine Alex, her grandfather has died, left her his big mansion where the undead are actually attacking. And as she reads through his library, she finds out that an eldritch horror kind of thing has been trying to rise since the time of the Romans.
Oh,
And so
wow.
you jump into the bodies of different people in different time periods trying to fight this horror and prevent it from rising.
Mhm.
And the thing that set it apart really was that there were 3 meters. You had, your health meter, your mana meter,
Mhm.
and you had your sanity meter. And the sanity meter, if it got too low because you saw too many horrifying things that your mind could not comprehend, it would start glitching out on purpose.
That's pure Lovecraft.
You would hold your own skull and it would start reciting Hamlet.
Yeah, that was good. Your head would just fall off.
Yeah.
As you're walking, you pick it up, and then it zooms on the screen, and to be or not to be.
Yeah, like the screen would jump
Good
back,
old
I think.
Memento Mori.
The most terrifying one was it would blip out for a second and then show you the GameCube startup screen.
Oh god.
That's some Hideo Kojima level shit.
Yeah,
It was some straight up Hideo Kojima level shit.
That's just mean.
Yeah,
That's
no,
cruel.
it was cruel. And also,
Oh,
like,
God.
you can choose your playthrough what your weakest stat will be. So I chose Sanity because it sounded easier than Health.
Fuck.
And I went crazy a lot, but I had a ton of fun, and the ending was just incredibly satisfying.
I haven't played it. Don't say a word.
Oh, not planning it. Well, in the end, it turns out you were fighting fluffy bunnies all along, and they just want a home. So Alex starts an animal shelter, and everyone's happy and sings a little song.
But if she was losing her mind, wouldn't she actually have been murdering them with an axe, and this was all just a big episode of Happy Tree Friends?
It's a very dark game.
It's very dark.
Suppose.
So that's
Sanity's
me.
Requiem.
I will jump in really
Eternal
quick.
Darkness, A Sanity's Requiem, GameCube, I would highly recommend it.
I will jump in really quick to say I can so understand the whole fighting over the games thing with your siblings.
Mm-hmm.
That was my life growing up too with video games. It was always who was going to play, or if we were all going to play together, or who wanted to play what.
Mm-hmm.
Mario Party was single-handedly, I think, the most damaging game I've ever played with my family.
To your relationships and the palm of your hands.
Every single time we played Mario Party, it ended in tears and fighting, and my mom taking away the Nintendo 64 for like a week.
I'm so happy I never played Mario Party.
And then you get it back and say, hey, let's play Mario Party.
That's exactly what happened. Every time we would be like, want to play Mario Party? Yeah, that's going to be fun. And then we're fighting again. It's better now.
It's
But
like,
sometimes I was the oldest of 3. I was sometimes the older brother who claimed the console and beat the younger ones. But I tried to let them have fun though. Like I'd feel bad if I was completely destroying them.
So rather than just killing them, you played with them like a cat with a mouse.
Oh, that's not even his worst story.
Yeah. Is it?
Oh, the thing you did to your cousin.
Oh, okay. Yeah, that was mean. But he was so.
Okay,
You
short,
know,
short version because
Out
we're
of
running long.
context.
The thing I did to my cousin. Okay, yeah, that was worse than this.
No, come on, short version. Go.
Short version.
I had a little cousin who was about like 6 or 7. He was watching me play WarioWare through the Game Boy adapter on my GameCube
Okay.
because I just had one. And
You're the one guy who bought that.
I did. I wanted to play things on it, but I bought it. I was playing WarioWare, having fun. He really wanted to play. He really, really, really wanted to play. But I also really, really wanted to play. And this was not necessarily a 2-player game. It had a 2-player option, but I didn't want to play
Oh,
that.
did you just give him an
wasn't
unplugged
fun.
controller?
I did.
Oh, we've all done that. That's not bad. We've all done that. I've done exactly that, except it was with Sonic Adventure 2 Battle.
I told him, all right, you're playing. And he was just standing there pressing buttons, and I just kept playing. And he was like, wow, I'm doing it. I'm like, yep, great job.
Grant,
And I just let him...
One of my younger cousins. Yeah, no, I've
Yes,
done that.
okay,
We've all
so-
done that.
yes,
We've all done that. That's
there you go.
nothing. I was expecting something actually bad.
But you had your full conversation, Connor, about like different things that you played with your siblings, but like what made you fall in love with gaming?
That's true. We didn't get to you.
Why were you constantly fighting for it?
Yeah, what started?
Yeah, what was your games?
I started very young. Like seriously, way before like
Slap that nerve.
when I was even younger. This is probably before Pokemon came out. But my dad, it may have been my older brother at some point. My dad somehow got a Super Nintendo, SNES, and brought it home and just gave it to me. And I'm like, cool, video games, yay! And I had a little bit of experience with video games before because we had our first computer a few years before that, with a CD full of games, one of which was Commander Keen. That's the actual first game I ever played, was Commander Keen. Awesome game. Fun little platformer. But I keep meaning to tease my brother Keenan about it, because his name is Keenan. It's called Commander Keen. Anyways, but I digress. The first game I played that I was like, this is it. I have to keep doing this. I will never stop. Was for the Super Nintendo, a cartridge version of Space Invaders.
Simplest little game.
Space Invaders is legit.
Super simple game. One of the first big arcade games. And I just played it for hours. It's all I would play. I drew pictures at school on my homework of Space Invaders and of like little tanks shooting at them, just because I loved it so much. It was just so much fun. And since then, it's all I've ever really wanted to do whenever I had free time. was play video games.
It's funny because I also fell in love with video games by shooting things while in a spaceship. Because, like I said, I had an N64, and I fell in love with Star Fox.
Oh yes, Star Fox 64.
Star Fox 64.
Star Fox.
Yeah, Star Fox 64.
Dual barrel roll.
Yeah, dual barrel. Well, this is the thing, like Star Fox 64. When you really think about it, Star Fox 64, and you look at the launch lineup of the N64 with like Mario 64, Star Fox. I think Ocarina of Time was either a launch or a near launch.
I think it was close enough.
It was close enough, yeah. When you think about those iconic N64 games, but you look at Star Fox 64, so much from Star Fox 64 like has become part of like the gamer cultural consciousness.
Yep.
Yeah,
You
that's
got dual barrel roll's the big one.
Yeah.
But like if you met like, Slippy is an easy punchline.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Just make a joke about Slippy. Anybody will laugh, even if they've never played Star Fox. They know what you
it's
mean.
Really true.
Falco
He's
being
hysterical.
Falco being an asshole, an easy punchline, right? You know, I can't let you do that, Star Fox.
Okay,
Right?
good point.
Like
That's the big
Yeah.
one, Star Wolf coming in.
when Star Wolf when Team Star Wolf comes in, like there's all of that really good like culture, and it's because it was an awesome game to begin with. You were talking about Halo with that 30 seconds of fun.
Yeah.
To me, the definition of that 30 seconds of fun is Area 6 Defense Station in Star Fox 64. Because it's if you take the hard route, it's the last line before the final planet, and it's just the space blockade. And you break through a military blockade with just your 4 R-wings.
Oh god.
And so you're flying around, you're like shooting down these weird little flying saucer things and blowing up, and there's enemies shooting at you from everywhere, and like you'll get the little like location confirmed, send supplies thing, but when you hit it, Rob just goes, Great Fox will assist, and the Great Fox shoots a giant beam from off screen, and just blows up a freighter that's after you. So like it's just
awesome.
That was pretty mind blowing as an 8-year-old. Like, you can do that.
Yeah, it was just like it's like you're playing Star Wars. Like you're just getting, and then the entire time the enemy commander's on the radio, baffled at how you're breaking through their defenses and everything.
It also nailed that 30 seconds of fun because that game threw you right into it.
It did. It threw you right into it. You start the game immediately. Like there's a little briefing that's like 10 seconds. And
Very
you can
low
skip
barrier
it.
to entry too. It was easy to pick up. You figured it out in the first 30
Move
seconds.
the stick towards the enemy, press A. You'll get decently far.
Yeah, and then boom, immediately, woo, you are flying over Carnaria, and they give you 1 ship, and then 2 ships, and then 3 ships to get the hang of it, and then boom, you're into it.
So
Carnaria is probably one of the best levels.
It's one of the best introductory levels, definitely.
In gaming.
Yeah.
I would argue that Area 6 Defense Station is probably my favorite single stage of any video game.
So since that game, you were like,
I was like, all right, I could do this. I could keep doing this.
Yeah.
rest of my life.
And that's the game, and that's like, that game has held up 100%.
Right.
So, Jessica.
Yeah, Jessica, we haven't gotten to you.
I think
we haven't
I
gotten
am
you
the
yet.
last one.
You
yeah.
are the last one.
Sorry, we went in a weird order.
Oh, it's all
Hey.
good, man. So
It
like,
just felt right.
I guess it's
Felt
just
so
because
right.
mine doesn't quite fit.
Hey,
So
that's
like,
okay.
as I mentioned before, my video game experience mostly was like puzzle adventure games, platformers. I mean, like I played a lot of Lode Runner. Shout out to my dad again.
Thanks, Dad.
See, we do love our families.
We do.
As long as they make video games.
Yeah. I'm kidding. But yeah, no, like I mostly played like the adventure games, honestly, not too much in terms of like quick action stuff. And I didn't really encounter too much of that until I met my friend Claire, who I adore for so many reasons. She introduced me to just various games, but none of them really stuck quite the way Fable did. And she wasn't even the one to show me Fable. I was at her house and we had been playing probably Legend of Zelda, and like we crashed in her like living room-ish area. It's hard to explain, but anyway, it's like this cut off little room, so we were just like hanging there, but it was where all the video game stuff was. Well, we kind of shut down for the night. It was probably like 1 a.m. when her brother, who was a few years older, bursts in. Emmett just like comes in, slams down the original Xbox.
Oh, so it was pretty loud then.
Yeah, breaks the table. You go get a new table.
Yeah, of course. Breaks the table, breaks through the floor. We have to repair all that damage.
You gotta go to China to get your Xbox back.
Yeah, exactly.
Come back, it's about 2 o'clock in the morning now.
Of course. Anyhow, so we get that all he gets it all plugged in, and he says, alright, you guys can do whatever, but I gotta play this. and we're like, okay. He's like, actually, no, you should watch this. This is great. and he pops in Fable, and I'm like 12, 13 at this point. And this is a 17-year-old boy wanting to show me video games, so...
Yeah. So you were like, alright.
Claire was pretty into it, and we're like watching him, and it's Fable, so he's running around just like... And it was the most amazing thing I've ever seen. First off, like... the proportions of those characters, man. The hands were out to...
Oh, yeah, huge hands.
The hands went for weeks.
Like, they were Hulk hands.
Yeah, they were. And then, like... And he was just running around, like, shooting lightning, being a dick, and, like, having sex.
Kicking
my God.
Kicking chickens.
I know, the sex was just, like... You hear weird noises to a black screen.
But there's your 30 seconds of fun.
But I was like...
You heard it here first, folks. The fuck.
Exactly. You heard it here, fuck.
No, that's what you heard in Fable.
But seriously, it was just the most fascinating thing I watched, and eventually Claire went to sleep or just like stopped paying attention, and then but I was like staying up, and Emmett got really into showing me like all these different things. He had several different save files, so he had like his good guy, his pure good, his pure evil, his like neutral, and then he let me play around with it, and I sucked, but it was the greatest thing ever. And then like, I guess I never stopped talking about it, because lo and behold, on my 13th birthday, or actually for Christmas before my 13th birthday, my birthday's the 28th, I got the original Xbox, and on my birthday I got Fable. And it was just, I couldn't stop. And I never knew that games could be like that, right? Like, I mean, like...
Fable actually had that same effect for me. I played it and I was like, the fact that you could just do all the stuff they did in that game was
like,
awesome.
There were times when you had to solve problems the way that I was used to. There was strategy, like, in all the board games I had ever played, because I played a ton of board games as a kid, too, right? Like, weird ones, like History of the Lost World or not History of the Lost World.
Yeah, your parents got, like, complicated...
Dinosaurs of the Lost World and History of the World are very different games. But anyway, and I love those sorts of games. And then, like, Philosopher's Stone, oh my god, they go on forever. But, like, and I was really into those board games and really into these puzzle adventure games. And then here's something that's actually, like, fast-paced, but also involved all that thinking. You just had to do it faster. And I found it unbelievable. And, you know, to this day, I still enjoy, like, I mean, I'm playing Professor Layton on my DS, and Pokemon Red for the first time. That's fun. But I also do really enjoy things like Far Cry Primal or Rainbow Six Siege and all the stuff that requires tactical thinking on the fly.
So, Jessica, then we can actually move into our next section right from there, because we were about to talk about what makes a game so simply very good, and gameplay was the first thing we wanted to talk about. So what do you think it is about that gameplay that gets you?
Well, I mean, kind of that 30 seconds of fun thing, it's a really good through line, actually, because, like, if it's not fun, like, if you can't have fun, 30 seconds is a good capture moment, but, you know, there are tutorials and stuff, so,
Of course.
you know, whatever. Once you get past that first chunk, in the, like, dead heat of it, when you know what to do, is that 30 seconds actually fun?
Yeah.
Like, are you intrigued? Is it something that seems like it makes sense, right? Like, I know a lot of people went a little crazy with some of the control changes that they made with Halo 5, for instance. Because
They changed a lot, actually.
They changed a lot of those
they
controls.
Changed a lot of things.
Aim
They
down
changed-
sights is a big thing.
Aim down sights. It's tapping the right stick actually brings up the scope as opposed to before it was one of the bumpers, I think.
You never could aim down sight in
Oh no,
previous
you
games.
could never
Yeah,
aim down the sight.
it
That's
was
right.
Pure hipfire.
No,
Aim down sight wasn't really a ubiquitous thing until Call of
I
Duty
know
4.
B
And after
used to
that,
be melee. Now it's
everywhere.
right bumper, and B
Yeah.
is a dash.
Grenades changed. They added a dash.
They changed everything, but after
Sprint.
and like it's weird to adjust. But I actually like the way Halo 5 made a lot of their changes because it was more intuitive.
I do too, actually. It grew on me.
Yeah, and I mean, like, and I know change can be awkward and so and all that, but ultimately, like, for me, when it comes to gameplay, is it intuitive? And even if you are breaking the trend of something you had been doing for years, like Halo 5 did, does it make sense? Like, is that more intuitive than what was what existed before?
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah, that's on the
and
page.
I think again, we can probably make a whole episode about this if we wanted to, but also empowerment in gameplay is important. Like Kingdom Hearts 2, 1000 Heartless War.
Oh. Kingdom Hearts 2 in general, excellent for making you feel empowered.
Yeah, but Kingdom Hearts 2, specifically the 1000 Heartless War, you are there with all your allies that you've built up, and you are completely surrounded by Heartless, and the game gives you specific prompts where you can just cut through like 10 of them in one button press.
Yeah, it's
Which
great. You run along a mountain ridge and you team up with all these Final Fantasy characters. Again, you team up with Cloud, like you team up with these iconic badasses as you're running around and fighting your way through, and then eventually they just drop you into a canyon where it's just you and 1,000 enemies.
Yeah.
Just in a box canyon.
Sounds
and
amazing.
You kill
it's
all
great.
1,000 of them. There's a little ticker that starts at 1,000 and it ticks down, and eventually just you and one guy in the box canyon, and you take him out.
And you'd think having a couple of like options for doing things would make it boring, but the fact that you look incredibly awesome while you're doing it, and it's not the whole game, makes that one high point really, really high.
So what I'm hearing then too is the feeling of being empowered is totally cool. I understand that completely. You definitely need to feel like you're not being completely beaten into the dirt and you suck when you're playing a game. But
Although Dark Souls makes it work.
Dark
Souls makes it work,
Souls,
but-
XCOM.
But the
But-
reason because those two works are because you feel like you're being challenged.
Yeah, and it's not like so. I find Dark Souls infuriating. I can't play it, but
I love it.
but I can play XCOM, and in like you said, they are very similar. For me, what it is you're being challenged. You're being challenged so hard, you're probably gonna die.
Mm-hmm.
Probably gonna die a lot.
Yeah.
But once you stop dying,
Mhm.
that's where the empowerment is, right? And then you start to feel good, and then you come across enemies that used to fucking destroy you, and you can just jump in and be like, ha!
I think a sign of a good challenge is you feel like maybe not necessarily that you can do this now, or maybe not even if you did some other things, but that you feel like this is doable. I can do this. It will be hard, but if I do these things, or if I practice, or if I get these few items, whatever it is, it is doable. That I think creates that excitement and that engagement where you actually feel interested, like because that makes you want to keep trying. The whole point is you want to keep trying.
What I really can't stand, like what a sign of a poor video game is
Not
one-
so simply very
is
good.
so simply not good.
So simply very bad.
Boy bad.
Bag fuck.
But bad bag fuck.
Bad.
bag fuck. Yes.
Bad
Okay, so you're sign of a game being bad.
This is a bad bag fuck, you guys.
Essentially, when a game handholds you too much, you know, like, you know, when the tutorial feels like it's going on too long and then out of nowhere it smacks you with the challenge or whatever, right? Like, or if it handholds you the entire time. I know we've had, you know, private conversations, not on microphone, about how we feel about Pokemon X, for instance, which is just kind of like, where's the fun, right? You want to be challenged to a point where you believe that with work you can overcome that challenge. And even if it's just, I need to think about this a little differently, if it's one more try, or it was hard to make it on the first try, you want it to challenge you just that much so that when you achieve it, the 1 versus 1,000, for instance, is like, that's a huge bunch of enemies, but if you've done your stuff right, you can defeat them.
Yeah. Well, and I think, though, there can also be the opposite, because, Grant, you just went through Xenoblade Chronicles X, and from the complaints I've heard, and you can speak to this better, it did not handhold you enough.
No, it did not handhold me enough.
It didn't hold your hand at all.
I feel like we could do a whole other show on just what can make what's supposed to be a good game bad.
Yes.
But I think, yeah, part of what makes you feel powerful, or what I wrote down is, I like a game that makes me feel smart. And part of that is giving you the tools necessary, in both those cases, giving you the tools necessary to know what you're doing. Because, yeah, in something like Kingdom Hearts 2 with 1,000 Heartless War, or in like a lot of shooter games or more traditional action games, you feel powerful. There's the empowering sense of like, yeah, I'm kicking ass and I'm killing all these monsters and everything. But then looking at more traditional RPGs, looking at XCOM, looking at, the one that always comes to mind for me is actually the Hitman games.
Yeah.
Or in general, stealth-based games. What makes those games work...
Did you play Dishonored?
I did not.
You should play Dishonored.
I know. What makes those games work is that you feel smart while you're doing it.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I put a good 80 hours into Metal Gear Solid 5,
Yeah.
and while I'm playing it, I'm like, ha ha ha, do, you don't see me coming, do you, fucker? Pew! Aha, you don't! Like, I feel like I'm tricking the enemy while I'm playing. And...
Snake Eater!
Speaking of putting 80 hours into Metal Gear Solid 5, I have a note here that says P-meter.
the P-meter.
The P-meter.
Do we want to talk about the P-meter?
I think we want to talk about the P-meter.
Okay, let's switch
actually,
to
I wanted to
let's hold on to P-meter.
I actually wanted to say something before we moved on to the P-meter thing, about the whole gameplay thing. And this is, again, like Jessica said before, a conversation I've had with some of you, I can't remember exactly who, probably all of you, about what makes a game good. And one of the core things that I think is theory I have is if you break a game down to two very simple things, which is gameplay and story. Mm-hmm. A game that has good gameplay, like fun, intuitive, challenging, makes you feel smart, makes you feel empowered, good gameplay, but a bad story, unless you are a person who is very heavily invested in the story when it comes to video games, that game will still sell. That people will still play that game. If a game has a good story, great story, but the gameplay just sucks, if you're more story inclined, you might still go for it, but you will see that game not be anywhere near as successful. Most people will say it is bad because the gameplay is not good.
The selling, not just on a selling end as to what sells versus what doesn't, but just like in general, like you can have a game that has no story that's amazing. I mean, you mentioned Tetris. That is still, I mean...
Robot Unicorn Attack?
Robot Unicorn Attack. Yeah, 2048. I mean, like, Sudoku, right? Like,
I spend too much time playing Sudoku.
I know you do, Jeff.
Yeah, in the bathroom.
I know you do, Jeff.
I am so sorry.
But the point is, like a game with a great story might get people coming back. A game with great gameplay that's just fun to play will get people coming back, period.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I mean, look at any iOS game that's just done fantastic over the past, however long iPhones have been around, right?
About 10 years, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like...
God, has it really been 10 years?
2006 was the first iPhone.
Oh,
Yeah.
God,
Jesus
we're getting old.
Christ.
We are. We are. You heard it here.
24, we peaked.
But, I mean, like, good gameplay makes for everything, right?
Yeah.
Like, most of those early iPhone games, I mean, like, freaking Angry Birds is everywhere and everybody plays that.
They're making
They're
a fucking
making a movie.
I know. They're adding story to the game because the gameplay was so intriguing. People wanted more, but they got sick of just, like, getting the same gameplay over and over, so they added story to make it more interesting. But let's face it, Angry Birds is angry fucking birds.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I feel like there's a difference between bad gameplay and less gameplay.
Because
something like
different.
Telltale.
Telltale stuff is relatively light on gameplay, and it's not enthralling gameplay, but that gameplay does not get in the way of the story.
It's intuitive.
It is intuitive. It's incredibly intuitive.
Yeah.
It serves its purpose.
It does.
Which
Same with like Quantic Dreams games.
Mhm.
Like Heavy Rain, the gameplay is there to get you into the story.
Which brings me up to what I wanted to say about gameplay, and I'll keep this quick. I feel like your gameplay can be whatever the heck you want it to be. The important thing is if you do it well.
Yeah.
Look at FTL. FTL, it's a complex game. It does its own thing. No game really does what FTL does. So no one really has a good starting point to hop into FTL. Once you get into it and understand it, the gameplay is exceptional. And that's all you need. You look at Sudoku, it's simple. You put a number in a box. The gameplay is simple. It does what it needs. You go to Call of Duty. The game itself, I have some interesting theories about, but the gameplay is rock solid, and that is how they have managed to put out a game every year for the past, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 years? And it's based on the strength of their gameplay. My belief about gameplay is that it can be whatever the heck you want it to be. As long as you pick something and do it well, your gameplay will be okay.
Yeah, on that point, like, I know everyone has their own opinions on the Assassin's Creed series. Another one that comes out every year, of course.
Although not anymore.
Although not as much anymore, yeah. But I still adore it. Like, I've been with it from the beginning. Initially, I was in for the story because that was a captivating story. The gameplay was really... I mean, Grant couldn't finish it.
It has not aged well.
I still can play it in a day, but I love the game, and it intrigues me further. It has a lot of issues, though, and, for those of you who don't know, I work at GameStop. I talk to a lot of people about various things. Anytime someone picks up that first Assassin's Creed, I say, have you played another one? Because if they played later ones, it's really hard to go back. But if you've never played the series before, it's an okay one to jump into. Really, really good story. God-awful gameplay, right? Like, you can't swim. A lot of the time when you jump, it goes in a weird angle.
My favorite was the time I jumped into a fountain and drowned.
Yeah,
Because
right?
it was full of Black Plague.
Instantly.
It's one of those
in a fountain.
It's one of those stealth games that actually takes stealth into account. Good gracious, where if you're seen, everyone is alerted. It's a little too heavy on that point, but it does very much focus on stealth, unlike the later Assassin's Creed games that Assassin's Creed 2, Ezio's walking around with giant blades up. I mean, he's got a giant codpiece that just says he's an assassin, right? It's, yeah.
I was imagine it just says Assassino in rhinestones on the back.
I mean, I'm
That's
pretty
not that far off.
I walk into the club what up, I'm an assassin.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of how the games go after a while, where it's you're not really being all that stealthy. But one thing that they definitely did was they started sticking to that formula of what was working and tweaked as they released stuff every year. And once they found the formula, now it's getting back to a point where they're actually jumping into some really interesting storylines again, which for me is great because a good story is what keeps me around, right?
But I hear what you mean. Well, it used to be clunky, and they made it a lot smoother.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and if we're saying before that, we can get by on no story, we can get by on Sudoku, we can get by on 2048, Robot Unicorn Tech, why bother putting in a story?
I mean, kind of what I was saying with that first Assassin's Creed, where the gameplay was... There was parts of it that were definitely intuitive and why I continue to play it on occasion, right? The game has clunky gameplay because you're just not really sure what will work. Mm-hmm. I think having a really intriguing story is what's going to really keep people around, right? Because, people will forgive clunky story for really great gameplay. If you have clunky gameplay, not super clunky, too clunky and it goes false, but, slightly clunky gameplay will be forgiven if you have a really intriguing story that goes, okay, I know, this mission is driving me nuts, but I gotta find out what happens next.
Mm-hmm. And I will jump in is just something you said made me think about this of like why even bother giving a game a story? When you think back, like the first games that really came out and got popular, like like Commander Keen, or even like maybe not Pong. Pong doesn't really have a story. But
Pong's story is let's play table tennis.
But honestly,
even
in games like Pac-Man or like Centipede, there wasn't necessarily a narrative, but there was some sense of a story in the sense of there was something happening that you had to understand, and there were things involved. So, what, do you want to jump in?
Well, even in early games, there were text adventures, which were a little more...
Yes, exactly it. But which jumps right in what I was going to say. I think early on, when they were first developing games, which are essentially just code, the reason they added a story was to give you a reason to do the certain processes they wanted you to do. Most like if we skip over like the Atari and Activision, like early Intellivision stuff, and jump into the games where like Commander Keen, for example, where you had to jump and travel through a spaceship and shoot monsters,
or Mario has to rescue the princess,
or Mario, it'd be like, well, like we made this game where you control this character and he moves across the screen and he jumps on these platforms which are solid, and you can bump items and they give you stuff and they make you do this. You think, well, why would I do that? Well, we don't know. We should come up with a reason, and the reason is the story. And then the rest comes after. Then you realize, oh, this is fun, and the story kind of has to work with the gameplay. If they don't match, it doesn't work. But
I would actually argue that a lot of games actually start with the story, even if it's not a full, complete narrative. You don't make a game... I mean, like, some games... It depends on where you start, right? Like, some games start with the mechanic. You know, like, the floor is jelly. We've seen that guy talk. I've seen videos of the guy who created the floor is jelly. He was bored and came up with kind of a cool mechanic. And
he was playing with physics.
Yeah, and then eventually he made a whole game out of that, right? But then, there are a lot of other things. Mario was one that actually had a storyline to begin with, all right? Not much of one, but it was, you're going to rescue the princess, right? And then, and Legend of Zelda, you're going to rescue the princess, right?
A lot of princesses getting captured over in Japan, apparently.
Theme here.
Nintendo likes to save princesses, but as I mentioned, my dad. I've talked with him. I've talked with Jamie Spacco, right? Like, when you're starting something, you need to have a good idea of what you're... Like, if you have a plan to make a game, you don't just jump in and make a game. You either kind of mess around to see what sort of thing you can do and build a story off of that, or you have some kind of premise and you build the game off of that, right? You start with one or the other.
Well, and I agree. And just, spoiler alert, we are all either creative writing majors or took writing classes or write. And that probably shifts our view of narrative. But
we could do a whole show on that.
Yeah, but the thing is that sometimes you start with an idea for a story and you have to pick the genre. Like, would this work well as a short film? Would this work well as a short fiction? Would this work well as a novel? Or would this work well as a game? And I think that that's part of it, is that some stories are best told in gaming.
Tune in later for our episode about Quantic Dream.
Yeah, no, if we go down that rabbit hole, we've already gotten way off.
That will be an episode later.
Yeah, no, we don't want to go down that rabbit hole right now. So I think we're going back to what makes a game so simply very good.
When do you pee?
Gameplay is paramount, but a good story can keep us sucked in.
Yeah.
Which actually does, going back to the pee meter. This was actually, I think it was actually Jessica.
Jeff came up with it.
Yeah, so Jeff originally had the idea of you can judge how well a game can suck you in, whether that be with its gameplay or story, by how long you will continue to sit there and play the game even though you know you have to pee.
Like really bad.
How long will you keep playing? How bad will you let that urge to urinate get before you finally pause the game to get to pee? Not even turn it off, but even just being away from it for the time it takes you to urinate. That eventually overcomes. It's not even like, well, I'm in a boss battle. It's like, no, you could fully pause it right now.
Mm-hmm. Nothing would happen.
Or you could
keep
wait a little more.
Yeah,
I can do it. Yeah. I can go a little farther. It'll be okay.
I can get in that next big hit.
Yeah,
I got it.
Thank God for handhelds. I'm just gonna say.
Yeah, no kidding.
Yeah.
I love when an handheld is drawing me in. So I think you can really like measure how good a game is or how much a game can affect you by the P meter.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was interested to just sort of see if anybody else wanted to chime in on what the game has their longest P meter. Because the games that can, again, we brought it up earlier, the games that can really keep me enthralled would be RPGs like Final Fantasy, but the big for me is Metal Gear. Metal Gear Solid is the Final Fantasy Metal Gear Solid are the two franchises that I just have deep, deep, deep love for. And Metal Gear Solid is notorious for having really long cutscenes, but even so, those aside, the gameplay and the story and how it all weaves together, I can sit and play Metal Gear Solid for hours on end.
Oh yeah, no, for me, Mass Effect.
Yeah, Mass Effect.
I mean, like, I'm sure it's like most of us. Like, we've all played it.
Yeah, we've talked about Mass Effect as the common thread through all five of us.
But another one of those games that I didn't really know what I was getting. I mean, like, much later, of course, I was 16 at this point. Sat down and I had bought my boyfriend at the time Mass Effect. He said I'd like it, and I never gave it back to him.
I had a similar experience with that game in the sense that like I had no idea what I was getting into.
But, and I was so sucked in. The P meter scale, and I'm not sure how well you guys can all speak to my bladder, but I know it holds pretty well. Like, I take long road trips on this. I've flown to Chicago and then driven for 3 hours to Knox before taking a pee.
That's actually really
It's
impressive.
impressive.
Very impressive.
It's very impressive.
She's got a pretty high level bladder.
I mean,
Yeah,
actually.
that's, for those of you who don't know, that's 7 to 8 hours.
Yeah.
More.
It starts to get really painful.
It's like 9.
Depending on how much water I've had, oh god. Like,
Yeah.
I usually
Anyway.
can't make it.
Anyway.
But that's like the level. I may have peed myself a little bit during Mass Effect 2.
Yeah.
Not that much, but just that little bit where it's
For
like,
many reasons.
I waited too long! Pause, run!
Just moving at all just puts pressure and
Well,
squirts some out.
Yeah, the longest I wanted to, sorry, I know, I want to draw back really quick. Yeah, you were saying you actually peed yourself a little bit. With me, the similar anecdote to demonstrate for Metal Gear for me was I shotgun through the series on a regular basis just because I could do a whole thing on that, and I won't. We can save that for the story episode, but at one point I was playing through the franchise just from beginning to end like I do, and I got to Metal Gear Solid 3, which is one that takes place in the 60s. And
Great game.
A great game. And I basically, for one reason or another, was left alone in the dorm room all day.
Yeah, his girlfriend at the time was away at a computer science conference.
Yeah. I was basically left alone in the dorm room all day. I played that game from new game to credits, watching all of the cutscenes in one sitting. I did get up to pee partway through. That would be 14 hours without urinating, which is ridiculous. I did get up to pee partway through. But, like, I ordered a Jimmy John's delivery for, like, at 11, I ordered Jimmy John's. I ordered 2 sandwiches because I knew I was not moving. So I had a Jimmy John's sandwich for lunch and a Jimmy John's sandwich for dinner.
And you peed Jimmy John's.
And I peed Jimmy John's. And I played the entire game. And
The toilet was full of sandwiches.
It was, yeah. So, I didn't want to draw back to me, but I felt like that was an anecdote worth sharing, was that I played the whole game in one sitting, and then said girlfriend at the time came home from said computer science conference and asked me how my day went while I was watching the credits. I said, I did nothing today. Played Metal Gear.
That's not nothing.
Connor, do you have a P-meter story?
Do I have a P-meter story? None that I can think of as much. I will say, I was trying to think if I've ever crapped my pants while playing the game. Like
That would be true dedication.
That'd be Dead Space.
It may have happened. It may have happened at one point in time where I was just like, I can hold it up. Nope, fuck that up.
We totally would, too.
Well, here I am.
Might as well keep playing.
But no. I will say this in lieu of thinking of a game that has happened in the past for me that has done that. More recently, I will play Rainbow Six Siege until like the batteries in my headset die, and then I just switch out the headset to the crappier one, and then I will keep playing it until the controller dies, and I plug it in, and then I gotta go to bed. So I have played that game for 7 hours. 7, 8, 9 hours.
And as a working adult, that's impressive.
Well, on
I am
weekends
not
mostly
sure
when I do that.
A couple of people at this table realize this, but he has played so much Rainbow Six Siege. I used some spare Christmas money to buy a second Xbox, just so I can occasionally play something.
I helped.
By way of apology.
No.
For those of you who don't know, I live with Connor.
Yes.
Yeah.
We are a household.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, we're not.
No, what are you talking about? Who are you?
No, what?
Paige, have you ever had a pee meter moment?
I can't think of a specific PME. I'll probably think of one at 3 a.m.
Yeah, you mostly get play in bits and pieces because you got really into gaming as an adult, where you actually have adult responsibilities.
Hey, you know what? If we think of anything, we'll throw it up on our WordPress site, which is again volcanobakemeat.wordpress.com. Check it out after the show.
Yep.
Yeah.
We'll have game notes, or not game notes. We'll have blog
Show notes.
Yeah, show notes. So anything that we've talked about, we'll probably
And you know what? If you listen, I'm sure we want to know. So tell us your P-meter story.
Yeah, absolutely. Tell us your P-meter.
Yeah,
tell us your first game love,
tweet
time
it.
you fell in love with gaming, P-meter stories.
Tweet us at so simply very good.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, what makes this game so simply very good to you? I know we ought to wrap it up. I didn't get an opportunity to talk about how I feel like a key to a game is actually rewarding you for your efforts.
Yes.
We kind of talked about that a little bit with Dark Souls and stuff, but I'll keep it short because I know we're running long. But the thing that really infuriated me about Grand Theft Auto 5, great story, great gameplay, but you never got rewarded for doing anything ever at all.
They spaced it out
Ever.
way too bad.
You got paid. You got paid twice in the whole game.
I will give
One
it
of those
that.
was at the end.
I loved GTA 5.
3 times.
I had
3 times in the game.
It was 3
Still.
times, but
Still.
I really like GTA 5. I will give you that though. That was not well thought out.
Yeah, and so that was in all respects a really well done game, but I have to say I would not call it so simply very good based on the fact that the player is not rewarded for doing anything. And so I just never felt I never felt like I was actually being motivated to play the game.
Although the nail in the coffin for that is that there were so many easy fixes for that, none of which they implemented.
Absolutely.
That is a problem.
I would actually argue one other point on that one. And again, we are running. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But anyway, I would actually say one other thing on that. That was the single player experience.
That's true.
GTA Online has a completely separate gameplay, and I would say GTA Online does mean so simply very good.
I believe it.
You are constantly rewarded for
I
what you
love
do.
GTA Online.
Yeah.
So did I. We played a lot.
Yes,
Yeah,
it was awesome.
And it continues to be fun. They continue to add stuff to it, right? It's constantly moving forward. It's a good game. It's really disappointing that single player was not so simply very good, right? It just didn't quite hit it. It was so close.
So simply, very disappointing.
Yeah.
So simply very
So simply, almost very good. Yeah, I also want to talk about depth of choice, but we can do a whole show on that, so we'll leave that alone.
So simply, kind of okay.
So simply, can of worms.
Yes.
So I think, as we said, we usually plan on having about an hour, but we'll probably run long because we like to talk. But
Get used to it.
Yeah. I think something we'd like to do on the show is a Volcano Bakemeat quiz. This is just a short barrage of ideas for a simple topic. And this week we want to talk about some games that are so simply very good, but so easily might not be. So, guys, in one quick move, how would you ruin a game?
Any action, adventure, RPG, Uncharted, Tomb Raider, not even RPG, what am I saying?
I was going to say neither of those are RPGs.
No,
Any action.
Any action game.
Any action game. Why did I say RPG?
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever. Any action game where you have to make quick decisions and you're constantly moving forward and there's no stopping, where you have to stop and consider the pee break, but not for yourself. Your character has to take a poo every now and then. I mean,
actually, that would mess up some RPGs too.
Yeah, it really would.
I know, right? You could almost any game.
I'm coming after you, suffer off after I take a dump real quick.
Quick time event, find a bush.
I would take Sonic the Hedgehog, the good Sonic the Hedgehogs. Like Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
So Sonic Boom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but actually have to take Sonic's metabolism into account for being able to run that fast.
How many cheeseburgers must this man
Oh, be
eat?
chili dogs, obviously. Canonically,
Yes.
Sonic loves chili dogs.
Alright, you're right. It's
So
chili dogs.
you'd have to replace all the rings with chili dogs, and if Sonic didn't get chili dogs for a certain amount of time, he would die. He would go into a diabetic coma.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it would be like a blend of Sonic and Pac-Man, where yum 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 yum, and then
Kind of.
yeah.
That'd actually be really fun, kind
Okay.
of. Maybe, sort of. It'd probably be awful.
Awful. Connor?
I would say you could ruin Pokemon pretty badly by having you micromanage your Pokemon like actual living things.
Oh god.
Oh, like,
Oh god.
Like,
so-
Tamagotchi.
Yeah, so you got to feed them, and if you don't actually use them, they do start to hate you. So you have to cycle through, which could actually be kind of cool. But like you have to, but yeah, it's suddenly well, at the same time they expect you to finish the game. Like you have to progress, but at the same time you got to feed these Pokemon.
So
They'll start
the
eating each
Pokemon
other.
mini event from the more recent games.
I suppose so. Yeah, except that's like a requirement, and if not, then they just start penalizing you.
And if you
Okay.
don't use them for a very long period of time, they start to atrophy and do worse in
You
combat.
get visited by like the
Pokemon Protection Authority.
Yeah,
You gotta pay for your Pokemon rabies licenses.
they come and
Mhm.
claim your Pokemon. They
So,
go to the state.
Occasionally, whatever the equivalent of PETA is will come
Yeah.
through and just like, you know,
Suddenly,
murder
there's
you.
Splash paint on you.
in increasing volumes, you just hear it quietly and then louder in the arms of an angel.
Oh god. No.
Okay,
Jeff.
Jeff, how would you ruin a good game?
BioShock Infinite.
Okay.
And take Elizabeth and turn it into an actual escort mission. Give her a health bar and shitty AI, and you've ruined one of the greatest games of our generation.
Oh no!
How what made that game so good was Elizabeth's AI was so good.
I know, and that's why it'd be
Yeah.
so
I remember-
awful.
Enemies can actually hear her say "Booker catch." Booker catch! God damn it!
Yes, that's a grenade.
Yeah, Bioshock Infinite, where Elizabeth has a health bar, and the AI of Ashley from Resident Evil 4.
Oh god. Oh god. No thank you.
Booker,
And-
help!
And to finish it off, I want, or don't want to see a game where Mario is just an actual plumber.
Try to jump down a pipe and there's just a bunch of hair and spit. You're like,
Hey,
oh,
it's me, Mario. I'm here to roto-root your drains.
it's me, Mario. This is why I drink.
No, this is why I do the mushroom.
Yeah. No, it's just a Mario game where the mushroom wears off halfway through. So you're playing the fun game, and then suddenly it becomes awful.
When you get
You're
to the,
shivering.
and you have to get another one up.
Yes!
when you get to the end of the,
Another one up.
when you finish the castle, Toad's there. Instead of him saying the prince of another castle, you just hand him like an invoice, and you're like, yeah, here's for services rendered, asshole.
Toad is actually the rich 1%er living in a villa in Italy or somewhere. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
That was fun. Do we want to? I think we should. Should we call it?
I think we
no,
should
can
call
About
it.
this?
But let's give out some last announcements. Connor, can you go through our social media presences?
Yes. So we said it before. We'll say it again. You can visit us on Twitter at So Simply Very Good. Is our
Good.
what's it called? It's not a
Handle.
tag. Handle.
Hashtag.
It's our handle. Wow.
Good spelled G-U-D.
I'm a bad millennial. I don't know how social media works that much.
I know, right?
But yeah, it's So Simply Very Good. Good spelled G-U-D because G-O-O-D was taken. Those bastards. And then you can also find us. Well, I'll do that last. You can also find us on Facebook at Volcano Bakemeat Radio. I think it's still called.
Yeah,
It's
it is.
left over from the radio show Grant and I used to run at Knox College. Our WordPress site is volcanobakemeat.wordpress.com. We will be posting blogs and other things from the show and as we go on there. And you can also email us if you want to at sosimplyverygood@gmail.com. And that is spelled the correct way.
Okay, should we recap who we are and sign off?
Yes.
Or is there something we need to do first?
Let's recap and sign off.
All right.
I am Connor,
I'm Jeff.
I'm Paige.
I'm Jessica.
And I'm Grant.
and we will see you guys next time on the next episode of Volcano Bakemeat. Very good.
Good.
Yeah.
Okay.
Very good.
Yeah, what makes this game so simply very good to you? I know we ought to wrap it up. I didn't get an opportunity to talk about how I feel like a key to a game is actually rewarding you for your efforts.
Yes.
We kind of talked about that a little bit with Dark Souls and stuff, but I'll keep it short because I know we're running long. But the thing that really infuriated me about Grand Theft Auto 5,
Oh.
great story, great gameplay, but you never got rewarded for doing anything ever at all.
They spaced it out
Ever.
way too bad.
You got
Way
paid.
too
You got
bad.
paid twice in the whole game.
I will
and
give
one
it
of those
that.
was at the end.
I loved GTA 5.
Three times.
I had
Three times in the game.
It was three
Still.
times, but
Still.
I really like GTA 5. I will give you that though. That was not well thought out.
Yeah, and so that was in all respects a really well done game, but I have to say, I would not call it so simply very good based on the fact that the player is not rewarded for doing anything. And so I just never felt I never felt like I was actually being motivated to play the game.
Although the nail in the coffin for that is that there were so many easy fixes for that, none of which they implemented.
Absolutely.
That is a problem.
I would actually argue one other point on that one. And again, we are running. I'm sorry.
That's okay.
But anyway, I would actually say one other thing on that. That was the single player experience.
That's true.
GTA Online has a completely separate gameplay, and I would say GTA Online does meet So Simply very good.
I believe it.
You are constantly rewarded for what
I
you
love
do.
GTA Online.
Yeah.
So did I. We played a lot.
Yes,
Yeah,
it
no.
was awesome.
And it continues to be fun. They continue to add stuff to it, right? Like, it's constantly moving forward. It's a good game. It's really disappointing that single player was not so simply very good, right? Like, it just didn't quite hit it. It was so close.
So simply, very disappointing.
Yeah.
So simply very
So simply, almost very good. Yeah, I also want to talk about depth of choice, but we can do a whole show on that, so we'll leave that alone.
So simply, kind of okay.
So simply, can of worms.
Yes.
So I think, as we said, we usually plan on having about an hour, but we'll probably run long because we like to talk. But
Get used to it.
Yeah. I think something we'd like to do on the show is a Volcano Bakemeat quiz. This is just a short barrage of ideas for a simple topic. And this week we want to talk about some games that are so simply very good, but so easily might not be. So, guys, in one quick move, how would you ruin a game?
Any action, adventure, RPG, Uncharted, Tomb Raider, or, not even RPG, what am I saying?
I was going to say, neither of those are RPGs.
No,
Any action.
No,
Any action game.
Any action game. Why did I say RPG?
Yeah, whatever.
Whatever. Any action game where you have to make quick decisions and you're constantly moving forward and there's no stopping, where you have to stop and consider the pee break, but not for yourself. Your character has to take a poo every now and then. I mean, like,
Actually, that would mess up some RPGs too.
Yeah, it really would.
I know, right? Like, you could almost any game.
I'm coming after you, suffer off after I take a dump real quick.
Quick time event, find a bush.
I would take Sonic the Hedgehog, the good Sonic the Hedgehogs. Like Sonic the Hedgehog 2.
So Sonic Boom.
Yes.
Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog 2, but actually have to take Sonic's metabolism into account for being able to run that fast.
How many cheeseburgers must this man
Oh, be
eat?
chili dogs, obviously. Canonically,
Yes.
Sonic loves chili dogs.
Alright, you're right. It's
So
chili dogs.
you'd have to replace all the rings with chili dogs, and if Sonic didn't get chili dogs for a certain amount of time, he would die. He would go into a diabetic coma.
Okay,
Yeah.
so it would be like a blend of Sonic and Pac-Man, where yum 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 yum, and then
Kind of.
yeah.
That'd actually be really fun, kind
Okay.
of. Maybe, sort of. It'd probably be awful.
Awful. Connor?
I would say you could ruin Pokemon pretty badly by having you micromanage your Pokemon like actual living things.
Oh god.
Oh, like,
Oh god.
Like
Also,
Tamagotchi.
Yeah, so you got to feed them, and if you don't actually use them, they do start to hate you. So you have to cycle through, which could actually be kind of cool. But like you have to, but yeah, it's suddenly well, at the same time they expect you to finish the game. Like you have to progress, but at the same time you got to feed these Pokemon.
So
We'll start
the
eating each
Pokemon
other.
mini event from the more recent games.
I suppose so. Yeah, except that's like a requirement, and if not, then they just start penalizing you.
And if
Okay.
you don't use them for a very long period of time, they start to atrophy and do worse in
You
combat.
get visited by like the
Pokemon Protection Authority.
Yeah,
You gotta pay for your Pokemon rabies licenses.
they come and
Mhm.
claim your Pokemon. And they
So,
go to the state.
Occasionally, whatever the equivalent of PETA is will come
Yeah.
through and just
Suddenly
murder
there's
you.
Splash paint on you.
in increasing volumes, you just hear it quietly and then louder in the arms of an angel.
Oh god. No.
Okay,
Jeff.
Jeff, how would you ruin a good game?
Bioshock Infinite.
Okay.
And take Elizabeth and turn it into an actual escort mission. Give her a health bar and shitty AI, and you've ruined one of the greatest games of our generation.
Oh
What
no!
made that game so good was Elizabeth's AI was so good.
I know, and that's why it'd be
Yeah.
so
I remember-
awful.
Enemies can actually hear her say "Booker catch." Booker catch! God damn it!
Yes, that's a grenade.
Yeah, Bioshock Infinite, where Elizabeth has a health bar, and the AI of Ashley from Resident Evil 4.
Oh god. Oh god. No thank you.
Booker,
And-
help!
And to finish it off, I want, or don't want to see a game where Mario is just an actual plumber.
Try to jump down a pipe and there's just a bunch of hair and spit. You're like,
Hey, it's a me Mario. I'm here to roto-root your drains.
It's a me Mario. This is why I drink.
This is why I do the mushroom.
Yeah. No, it's just a Mario game where the mushroom wears off halfway through. So you're playing the fun game, and then suddenly it becomes awful.
When you get
You're
to
shivering.
And you have to get another one up.
Yes!
When you get to the end of
Another one up.
when you finish the castle, Toad's there. Instead of him saying the prince of another castle, you just hand him like an invoice, and you're like, "Yeah, here's for services rendered, asshole."
Toad is actually the rich 1%er living in a villa in Italy or somewhere. Well, that was fun.
Yeah.
I enjoyed that.
That was fun. Do we want to? I think we should. Should we call it?
I think we should
call
call
it
it.
this.
But let's give out some last announcements. Connor, can you go through our social media presences?
Yes. So we said it before. We'll say it again. You can visit us on Twitter at So Simply Very Good. Is our
Good.
what's it called? It's not a
Handle.
handle.
Hashtag.
It's our handle. Well, I don't know.
Good spelled G-U-D.
I'm a bad millennial. I don't know how social media works that much.
I know, right?
But yeah, it's So Simply Very Good. Good spelled G-U-D because G-O-O-D was taken. Those bastards. And then you can also find us. Well, I'll get to that. I'll do that last. You can also find us on Facebook at Volcano Bakemeat Radio. I think it's still called.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
left over from the radio show Grant and I used to run at Knox College. Our WordPress site is volcanobakemeat.wordpress.com. We will be posting blogs and other things from the show and as we go on there. And you can also email us if you want to at sosimplyverygood@gmail.com. And that is spelled the correct way.
Okay, should we recap who we are and sign off?
Yes.
Or is there something we need to do first?
Let's recap and sign off.
All right.
I am Connor.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Paige.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Grant.
And we will see you guys next time on the next episode of Volcano Bakemeat. We'll say it again. You can visit us on Twitter at So Simply Very Good. Is our
Good.
what's it called? It's not a
Handle.
handle.
Hashtag.
It's our handle. Well, I don't know.
Good spelled G-U-D.
I'm a bad millennial. I don't know how social media works that much.
I know, right?
But yeah, it's So Simply Very Good. Good spelled G-U-D because G-O-O-D was taken. Those bastards. And then you can also find us. Well, I'll get to that. I'll do that last. You can also find us on Facebook at Volcano Bakemeat Radio. I think it's still called.
Yeah, it
It's
is.
left over from the radio show Grant and I used to run at Knox College. Our WordPress site is volcanobakemeat.wordpress.com. We will be posting blogs and other things from the show and as we go on there. And you can also email us if you want to at sosimplyverygood@gmail.com. And that is spelled the correct way.
Okay, should we recap who we are and sign off?
Yes.
Or is there something we need to do first?
Let's recap and sign off.
All right.
I am Connor.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Paige.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Grant.
And we will see you guys next time on the next episode of Volcano Bakemeat.
All right.
I am Connor.
I'm Jeff.
I'm Paige.
I'm Jessica.
I'm Grant.
And we will see you guys next time on the next episode of Volcano Bakemeat.